Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is your episode 6 of your home talk. Sheila's swimming through the city of Egan in her life jacket. We have a nice home coming on the market over on Baffin Bay.
That's why I wore this today.
I know it. I know it.
Oh, you figured it out.
I figured it
I
out.
surprised him. He's like, I put it on. I think it's a kid's. I got one lower one. Okay, I think I got it all the way buttoned. I'm set.
There you go.
Sent to sink or swim.
Sink or swim. 4102 Baffin Bay in Egan, Minnesota. $595,000, a 5-bedroom, 4-bath home. Lovely home on a quiet cul-de-sac in Egan. 196 schools, Egan Senior High. 1,222, some key factors. 1,222 on the main floor. That's kind of the tipping point of when you get a really nice 2 stories. You got to have 1,200 square feet on that main level to give you that extra space. Otherwise, it just always feels so tight. 3,200 square feet finished. Got a new roof, new siding, new air conditioning, new pool pump, a large poolside screened porch, which is super duper fantastic for having a little lunch on the side of the pool on a lovely July day. Updated kitchen, granite center island and peninsula. 2 main level master family areas, which is wonderful. Concrete driveway, just a really terrific house on the market. $595,000 coming soon. Showings available on Thursday.
Now, did you say new siding?
New siding.
What kind of siding?
Vinyl siding, nice. It's gorgeous.
What color?
It's gorgeous. Well, what difference does it make what color it is?
I don't know. I'm just curious if
Silver.
it's new, what
No,
the trend is, for new colors and
It's
such.
beautiful, earth tone siding with the bands around the outside of the windows, the window trim around the outside really matches the brick and stone on the front of the house. I mean, it just, when I pulled up, I saw it for the first time the other day when I went and put the lockbox on. I pulled up and it was strikingly, shockingly good looking house. Let's just say that.
And the pool, I gotta say, is pretty spectacular.
Okay.
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add something about pools.
Okay, get on with it.
The insurance, has the insurance requirements changed over the years for pools? Like the fencing and what was the other? Mainly the fence, because sometimes we go to properties and the fence, there isn't a fence.
Yeah, I think, some of that is insurance, and I'm not an insurance agent, so I don't know the answer to that. But some of that is insurance. Some of it is city requirements.
Okay.
Sometimes the city, like we lived in Egan, we had an outdoor pool on 5 acres. And I thought, well, who the heck needs a fence around the pool? And the city required us to put a fence around the pool area. So we had to define an area that was the quote unquote pool area and fence it. And so some cities will require that. Other areas we've had out in the rural area, Prior Lake-ish area, where they don't have any fence around the immediate pool area. I think it's a good safety thing. I think most insurance companies are going to say, hey, maybe you ought to secure that area a little bit just to keep somebody from falling in there.
Okay, so there's a perception with pools that they're high maintenance and they cost a lot of money to maintain. I would disagree. What about you?
I do also disagree. I mean, we have a pool. I've had a pool forever. In the multiple houses, I always had a pool. I wouldn't own a house without a swimming pool. That's how I roll.
How it is with us.
And I don't think there any maintenance at all. I mean, you test the water, every now and again. You take it down to the pool store and give them the water and say, test it and give me what I need. You go home and dump it in. It's so easy to do. And then the pumps and heaters and all that stuff, they last for a very long time. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. In the spring, you call a guy up, he fires it up. In the fall, you come, he blows the lines out, easy. I mean, it's like any toy. It's going to cost you some money, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than a boat and easier to maintain than a boat, in my opinion. So,
do you remember when we had that company that came? They came every Wednesday or every other Wednesday, and we couldn't swim for like
Sparkle Pool.
X amount of hours after because they what did they do?
They dropped a grid in. They gassed it. They gassed it. So they dropped the grid in and they gassed the pool with chlorine gas. And you couldn't swim in it for like 4 hours or something like that. But it was sparkle, just like the name. It was sparkling, clear, crystal clear, blue, awesome looking pool while there every time.
So if neither one of you, anybody in the house doesn't want to deal with the chemicals, doesn't want to deal with all that, that service wasn't that much at that time. Okay, at that time it was.
But it's all relative.
Yeah, it is all relative. But I mean, did you even do anything? I don't think you cleaned it. I mean, you might have like putzed around it or,
Yeah, because I like putzing around the pool, but
Right.
that's all I did is kind of putz around the pool. But I didn't do the chemicals anymore because I just didn't like doing it. So it was so easy, and it actually cost me about the same to have them come and do it as if I did it myself and went and bought chemicals. So I thought, why not do that?
And what do we do nowadays? We have people come and plow. We have people come and shovel. We have people come and do the yard work. I think that, I don't think people maybe know that there's a service that you can hire to come and take care of your pool. Maybe nowadays they do, but you hire for everything else.
Yeah.
If you don't want to deal with it, you don't want to deal with having all the chemicals laying around the house for kids, animals, whatever. Have the service do it. It's just like having your yard taken care of or your snow plowing or whatever. Right. So
absolutely.
So
Sheila.
So this house is sweet, and
Yes,
it's got a pool, and it's going on Thursday, and we can get you in.
Yeah, a bunch of showings already scheduled. So
Right.
if you're interested, give me a ring-a-ling-a-ling, and we'll get you in there.
I was gonna wear a swim cap, but
Good.
I
I'm
ruined
glad
my hair.
I'm glad that you didn't. Okay, so I have my numbers game. Want to do numbers?
That's numbers, because
Okay,
that's your deal.
Let's play the numbers game. Numbers game. Median sale price $395,000. Used homes are $375,000. So $395,000 is everything, or new construction, and used homes $375,000. Active listings 1,397. Last week it was 1,231. So up just a skosh, but last week it kind of dropped a little bit. Remember, we had Easter, so you're not going to have homes probably coming on the market over Easter weekend. And then active townhouses stayed about the same, really, 774 this week. Actually, a little bit more last week, 787. So we'll see how that, now that we're kind of through that Easter business, we'll see how that flows in now as we head into end of April and into May. Pending sales, remember I said I was going to watch this from now on?
Oh, yeah.
Pending sales last week was 4,850.
4,850.
4,850. This
Okay.
week is 5,015.
Wow.
So up, a skosh. And single family, of those pending sales, I thought I'd split it out for fun. 3,816 in single family and 1,199 townhomes that are pending. So we'll kind of watch that line as it moves forward through the spring. I could talk for the whole hour. So you got something?
I wanted to talk about appraisals.
Okay, let's go.
Because that seems to be the week that we're having.
I think
it's Tuesday. Okay, like last week.
It seems to be the year that we're having, to be honest with you, because we've had a lot of appraisal problems on homes this year, on properties that we've listed. We don't have any trouble selling them. We can sell them and we can get the price for them, and then the appraiser, the bank appraiser, comes in and appraises them, and it's just like routine now. The appraisal comes in for less than what we sold it for. And in every case, it's been more than what we have, than our asking price. So even though we've had multiple offers and we've gotten more than the asking price, the appraisers are kind of knocking it down. And there was a statement by the Fed chairman. I was looking for it just before we came on here because I wanted to be able to quote it exactly and cite where it came from. But the Fed chairman made a statement that they are strategically trying to put the brakes on home valuations.
When was that statement?
Just like within the last 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very recent.
Okay.
So I wanted to just make an awareness of it and say, well, how can the Fed chairman do that? Well, because all the loans eventually, most of them, find their way, 98% find their way into Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie Mae, and all those investment pools, and they set the appraisal guidelines. And so if they're taking some of the latitude away from the appraisers for valuation adjustments, and they're saying, hey, you look at these comps, you go by square footage, boom, boom, boom. I just got a call from Lindsay, one of our agents on the north side of town, and she had an appraisal that came back this morning, $30,000 off the mark.
30,000.
That's a big thing to make up. So we're now looking for comps to support our number, of course. and we found a couple of them. And then the appraiser, we found an obvious mistake. He used the asking price rather than the at final sale price in his appraisal. So we're going to be able to make some adjustments on there. But the point is that the appraisals are a huge problem this year. In the last few years, it's just kind of been, anything goes. But that's not the case now. So
do you want to share what the process used to be when we'd have a low appraisal and we would be able to get those comps for the appraiser and like talk to the appraiser and give the appraiser our
that's a good
thoughts
point,
and now
Lindsay actually called the appraiser
Ooh.
and said, "Hey, I noticed that you used the offer price, the MLS listing price here, and not the final close price, and that's $15,000 difference. So why didn't you use that?" And he said, I can't talk to you about it. So there have to go through the channels. There has to be a formal kind of request for a reevaluation, desk approval, or whatever their process is to go back through it. But we used to be able to just call them up and say, "Hey, look, look at this one. Look at this one. What do you think about this one? Why did you do this?" And then you could kind of have a conversation about it, because they're just people out, trying to determine the value based for the bank, and they won't even talk to us now, and they get mad. But then they call all the time saying, "Hey, can you tell me about that property?" But that's on a property generally that we're not involved in, where they're just asking for advice. But when it's our property, they don't want to talk to us. Can't by rule, I guess.
Yeah, and that was a few years ago.
Yeah, that changed.
Five
Well,
something.
yeah, almost 10 now.
Almost to 10. All right.
All right, so
Should I share my story before
sure,
you
go
get
ahead.
on a roll?
Go ahead,
Okay.
because otherwise I'm going to get on a roll.
Okay. So every week I want to share a experience, right, that we've had out in the field.
Mhm.
And God darn it, the other night I had a really good one, then I forgot about
A
it.
good experience.
But no, the good one, like
Okay.
the memory of the good one,
Sure.
but I didn't, write it down. So I've got another one because I have tons of them.
Okay.
So I'm showing houses, and we're in a split entry house,
Mhm.
and we're in the basement, and you have that hallway, and then you have like all those doors, right? You have like 3 doors on the left and 2 or 3 on the right. And my client said, "Is it okay if I use the bathroom?" And I said, "Well, sure." And so I didn't watch where he went, but he went into the bathroom, and then I'm looking around, opening all those doors, and he didn't lock the door. I walked right in on my client going to the bathroom. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. It really was embarrassing, so lock the door.
Lock the door when you go to the bathroom. Better yet, don't go to the bathroom in someone else's house.
Well, I mean, if you have to, you have to, but.
All right. So when we're talking about these appraisal things, I just wanted to share with you, there seems to be a rising tide against corporate investors in real estate.
Rising tide.
A rising tide, particularly
Okay.
large investors purchasing single-family homes. Cashless.
In certain areas or all over the Twin Cities? Like, are
all
they
over
picking?
the country.
You're right, but for the Twin Cities, are they picking pockets of areas of
No,
cities, or just whatever they can find?
they're working in
Okay.
so all over the country. Cash
Okay.
buyer real
Okay.
estate investment trusts,
Okay.
purchasing properties with essentially other people's money. So it's speculated that these cash buyers have an unfair advantage over the family who needs to get a home loan. And
Mhm.
you can see that when
Yeah.
you're a seller and you've got 4 offers on the
Mhm.
table and they're all pretty much the same. One of them's for cash. You're going to naturally just take the cash one because it's done that minute. You don't have to worry about appraisals and anything else.
And, we don't have those letters anymore, right? We used to be able to write, a love letter to the seller, and so they've kind of nixed that. So there isn't, a seller doesn't have all that information anymore like they used to, right? It's basically, these are the numbers. This is the purchase agreement. This is the loan type, etc. Right?
Mhm.
So there's really no way for them to know anything about it other than really the names on the purchase agreement.
And that's what they want to do, is just base the fair housing says that we should base our decision making on the property,
Right.
and on the offer at hand, not
Right.
on the people. All right. The split-minded government, on one hand, is revealing that they want to tighten the market and put this cap on valuation and knock down the appraisal process, which is what all families use basically to buy a house. But then on the other hand, that exact process is what makes it more affordable and less costly for the cash buyers, these corporations, to go in, swoop in, and buy these houses with cash. So it's a little schizophrenic on the government's part, as usual.
What do they do with them?
They rent them.
Okay.
Yeah, they rent them. And Invitation Homes, for example, owns over 80,000 single-family homes across the country in 16 major markets, and they're just renting them out. So they're buying the houses, they're renting them out, they're controlling the inventory, they're getting premium rents on them, and then they'll, it's like any other asset, they'll wait until it's time to buy and churn that inventory over and move that investment into something else. But for now, and for about the last 10 years, they've been acquiring a lot of property. In fact, there are now hundreds of thousands of homes, like hundreds of thousands of homes owned by institutional investors across the country. And so it's these cash buyers do definitely have that unfair advantage to home ownership. So we'll see how that plays out in Canada now. I was talking with Kelvin, our loan officer from Loan Depot, and he reported to me yesterday that Canada now, these institutional investors, there's a moratorium. They can't buy a house. They can't buy homes, and you can't get and investors, it's very difficult, if possible at all, to get a loan for a house in Canada for an investment property to buy a single family home, because now they've recognized that this is going on not only in the United States but in Canada as well, and they're saying, hey, we got to put the stop to this because we've got families that want to buy houses, and these guys are edging them out.
Well, I mean, let's face it, it's the first time home buyer or the VA buyer has always been, like near and dear to my heart, right? And so those VA buyers, it seems like, they get kind of kicked to the curb on these offers just because of the VA and the way that the loan is structured.
And the thing of it is, and stop you right there. The thing of it is that it's no different now. It used to be, because VA is 100% financing, so people got all nervous about that. Well, all loans now, even conventional loans, the property still needs to appraise to value. So it doesn't matter anymore. Years and years ago, if you had an 80-20, 20% down, the loan only needed to appraise to the value of the loan amount. That's the appraisal, as long as it appraised to the loan amount. Now, well, that changed, with Dodd-Frank too. Now it has to appraise to the purchase price.
No matter what.
No matter what. So it really doesn't matter. And the VA loan is a wonderful product.
It is.
And, people get nervous about the appraisals because they've got just a few things that, lead-based paint and handrails and
chipping and peeling paint on the garage.
Some of that stuff. But it's really now pretty nominal in terms of what it is that sets it apart. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with a VA loan or a VA home buyer. In fact, we love our veterans to have the best opportunity that they can.
We do.
So you're talking about first-time home buyers. I have some things for first-time home buyers to watch out for. Ooh. And I say this because it's kind of easing. The market is somewhat coming back into balance, but there's still multiple offers on virtually every first-time home buyer property in that 350 and under price point, even 400 and under price point. There's multiple offers on those properties. And so sometimes you will have someone will say, look, just don't have an inspection on the property, because then that takes a worry off of the plate for the seller. And we never had inspections 20 years ago. So what difference does it make? Makes a difference. So anyhow, yes.
Some cities have a truth in housing or a code compliance or something like that. So that is required. That can't be waived. So that's sometimes a comfort.
In some of this, in the courts, Minneapolis, St. Paul, St. Louis Park, West St. Paul, some of the communities, a lot of communities around now will have a truth in housing or code compliance inspection. That gives you a little bit of cover. Mm-hmm. It's pretty, it's not a very thorough inspection. They hit the major mechanicals and the major systems and look for code violations, health and safety problems and things like that. But these are some of the things that I think that if you're walking through the house, as long as you're walking through the house, rather than just looking at the nice new paint job, why not look at the things that are really in the house? And here's some things that I just think that you should pay attention to when you're walking through, especially for a first-time home buyer who doesn't have, a big pot of cash sitting in the back seat of his car, waiting to go into the house. Age of the kitchen appliances makes a big difference. You can have, the nice new shiny appliances. A lot of the first time home buyer homes have used appliances in there. And if they are older, just keep in mind that, you can drop $5,000-$10,000 on kitchen appliances, depending on the quality that you want.
But you do have your service plus guarantee, like with whoever your provider is, you can pay monthly and put certain appliances on there. So if maybe the kitchen is new, but the washer and dryer is old, or the furnace is old, or something like that, you can, pick and choose which ones you want to pay for monthly to have kind of like an insurance, so that if something happens, then your mini Gasco or whoever it is will come out and usually repair it or replace it.
Right. And the remaining useful life of the furnace, water heater, and air conditioner. It's another thing to take a look at. Just because a furnace is older doesn't mean it doesn't have useful life left to it. Many of the older furnaces, to be honest, are built better than the newer ones, because the newer ones have thinner materials to give better heat, to get that efficiency up, so they have a better heat transfer and such. But the offset of that is they don't last as long. So look at what the useful life is left on that furnace, and be prepared that if it's a newer furnace and it's 10 years old, that you're probably looking in the next 5 years having to replace that furnace.
So it's tough, right? I mean, people are having to give up their, inspections to win a bid and whatnot. And I don't care if you're a first time buyer or not, there's no reason why you can't have a home inspection after you've purchased the home. So you can still have a home inspection, pay for it yourself, have it done, so that you know what that honey-do list is, what those things are, so that you're, prepared, and you've got some idea of the honey-do list that you're going to be doing.
Some other things just to kind of look out for is moist, damp basements. So, and again, it's not like you're not going to buy the house because it smells musty down there, but be aware that, it's musty down here. You may have to get yourself a dehumidifier, check it out, see if you've got water infiltration coming into the house. If it's just wicking through the block, South Minneapolis is built on a peat bog, so there isn't a dry basement in South Minneapolis. I'm being facetious, but literally. So, you're going to have to run a dehumidifier, just things to be aware of.
Now, we lived in Egan, at the old house, and we had a dehumidifier running, and it was like before they had the nice ones that, automatically drained. So I would empty that bucket like twice a day, but I didn't like one single ounce of moisture. Now, we never had any water in the basement, but I just liked it dry.
Right.
So it's doesn't matter where you're at. In Minnesota, I think you should have one.
Loose fitting windows is another one. I'm saying loose fitting windows. So if you've got the older wood windows and they kind of rattle when you go up and down, I think that too much is made of people thinking that they have to replace windows. Oh, the windows are 10 years old or 15 years old, they need to be replaced. Probably not true. But if you've got loose fitting windows, it's more that the air infiltration coming in around them is you're going to have some energy loss there. Maybe make it a little bit more difficult to cool in the summer or heat in the winter. There's things you can do to put some material on the side there to improve that seal, that you don't really have to replace the window, because if the window isn't rotted, there's no reason to replace it. It's not like glass gets old. So just keep that in mind. Look at that. Make sure the functionality is there, because if you do have to replace windows, it can be a spendy thing. So it's something that you're going to want to look at.
So why would that happen?
Why would what happen?
Why would you have a loose fitting?
Age. Yeah, just age. I mean, look, going south.
Wrinkles shrinking.
A lot, yeah, right. You're looser fitting than you used to be.
That's true.
Okay, so you've got, the wood windows especially expand, contract. Sometimes they just warp. Garage doors, same thing. Replace a garage door can be a few $1,000. Just look at it, make sure it goes up and down smoothly and doesn't bind. Siding is a big deal. Sometimes you've got the old slate siding or asbestos siding on the exterior. If there's chipped or broken pieces there, finding replacement pieces can be problematic.
Mhm.
And so all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I got to replace all the siding, or wood siding that needs to be painted and all that, just general maintenance of siding.
And whatever questions you have, whoever you need, we can get you their info. They can give you quotes, like they can come and do the assessment. And because let's face it, I mean, I'm not going to go around the house. And even if I did, I don't know that, I mean, I would know what I'm looking for, but not like, somebody else would. And again, it's just good to get a quote and see what's going on, because you might have some intrusion and whatnot that you don't know about.
Roof damage is another one. Well, another thing with siding is like woodpecker damage, insect damage, and physical damage from something.
Yeah.
Roof damage is a big deal. If you look at the roof and you see damage on the edges from people raking snow off of the roof, or damage from the gutters, from ice forming on the gutters, and bending them down, maybe they're scraped up from roof raking. People don't go out and rake their roof because it's fun to do. They go out and rake their roof because if they don't, they get ice dams and water build up, and it comes inside the house.
You have to use the right rake.
Well, more importantly, there's a reason for ice to build up there in the first place, and it's typically because of poor insulation or poor circulation in that attic space. And so seeing that damage up there is more like a clue that there might be something else going on that you're going to want to investigate further. All right, so sloping walkways and busted driveways is another one. Concrete's expensive, and if you've got a driveway that's all busted up, having to have that repair. None of these things would prevent anybody from buying a house, right? But you should just have an awareness of what's going on, and that should be a factor, especially now as the market balances. That should be a factor into what you perceive as the proper value for that house, knowing or having at least some kind of a heads up or indicator about what some expense items might be going forward, especially for first-time home buyers, because we don't want them to get overstretched just getting into the house and then be hit with some kind of major repair work and big ticket item that has to be done after closing or within the first 24 months after closing.
So what are they going to do? You're going to comment, like, share, right? That would be great. We'd appreciate that. If you have anybody that that has questions about anything, we are here to help and answer. Well, he's here. He's here to talk to and help you with those construction questions and all that stuff. I like to just go show the houses and have fun and be with the peeps. He takes care of the problems, which is great, right? He's my problem solver, right?
All right, so that's it for today's little show. We'll see you next week on your Home Talk.
See you guys. Thanks.